It's TK Friday. Today in the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly, we're going into the fog with a full edit using depth map magic. Let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome to the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly and welcome back to TK Friday. Something a little bit different today. Today it's a really moody and foggy image and we want to maintain the mood and fog, and we will be using depth maps in the TK9 plugin for Photoshop to really help us craft this edit. Today's image comes to us from Mike Polk. Thank you, Mike, for letting us use your beautiful image of Peggy's Cove. I've never been here, and I'm entitling this one Into the Fog. Now, as always, you can download this image and the PDF notes and give this edit a try. And if you have an image you would like me to edit on a TK Friday, go to the description of this video, scroll down through, you're going to find a contact me link, contact me, and we can discuss doing one of your images on a TK Friday. By the way, if you don't yet own the TK9 plugin for Photoshop, there's a great sale going on over at Tony Kuiper's web store. You can purchase any of the TK products and save 25% off your entire purchase. To get the 25% off, just use my promo code DK15. For this entire month, DK15 equals 25% off. And when you use my promo code, I make a small commission, and this helps to support my channel, so I appreciate it. The 25% off is because of the launch sale of the new TK Grayscale plugin for black and white conversions in Photoshop. It's bundled together with a Magic Mixer. If you already own the Magic Mixer, it's a free update for you. You're going to get TK Grayscale. And if you don't have the Magic Mixer, this is a good time to purchase because not only do you get the Magic Mixer, but you get TK Grayscale along with it. And don't forget, use my promo code DK15. That gives you 25% off your entire purchase, and that runs till the end of September. So this is a good time to get any TK products that you want. Now, as always, I start out here in Lightroom Classic. Just do some basic adjustments. As you can see here under tone, I haven't done much here. I haven't added any vibrance or saturation. I did use an adaptive profile this time. I usually use a linear profile, but I like the results I was getting here with the adaptive profile. As far as detail, I used Lightroom's AI denoise, no sharpening on the image. For lens corrections, I always check on remove chromatic aberration, enable profile corrections. And then for transform, I clicked on auto, and I did do a crop, as you can see right here. But other than that, that was it. And now at this point, I just right click on the image, go to edit in, click on edit in Photoshop 2025. And now let's have some fun editing this foggy scene. Now, I'm doing something a little bit differently. I usually open up with the balance and contrast. I'm still doing a balance and contrast, but there is a twist this time. I'm using a depth map. Come up to the multi-mask panel and you see this button right here. Hold down your command or control key and click this button. And when you do, you're going to create a depth map. Now, here's what we want for output. Save as a channel plus inverse. Just give that a click. And if you look down at your channels, you're going to find we have a depth map for background and one for foreground. Now this time I'm not using a mids 3 mask because I'm doing some very gentle adjustments here and I don't really need it. I still need a color grading tool, so come up to the multi-mask panel and click this button and you'll note we have a color grading tool. Now we got to get that depth map onto this mask. To do that, come to the layer mask calculator, click this button, click subject foreground, and then click this button to apply it, and now we have that depth map. And now we can close the color grading tool because I need the multi-mask panel again. What I want to do is do some alterations on this mask. So come up to the multi-mask panel and click this button right here to edit the layer mask. And what I want you to do is click this button. This gives you a levels adjustment. And I want to take the mid-tone slider and lighten it up, move it to the left, and I'm going to take it over to right there, 1.5, and click OK. Now, if we take a look at this mask by clicking this button right here, you can see how it's really lightened up. So we'll get a stronger effect down in this area right in here. But all this area up in here where we have a lot of fog will get less of the adjustment. And that's the reason for the depth map, to protect the foggy areas. Click this button to go back to image view. I don't need adjust layer mask anymore. Click the X. Now I need to get my color grading tool back, so click this button, and now we can adjust the curves adjustment on this layer via the color grading tool. I'll start out with shadows. I'll click the shadow button, and I just want to deepen the shadows a bit. I'll take the brightness slider, we'll drag it to the left over to right there, -15, and now let's click on the midtone button. We'll open up the midtones a little bit. We'll drag this brightness slider to the right, and we'll stop right here at 24. Now I want a slight warm color grade, so you see my cursor, just click and you'll drop a puck and you'll color grade that area. I'm going to click right here. I'll shut off this layer. Here's before and here's after. See how that fog is protected? We have a little bit of lightening up in here, but just the right amount thanks to that beautiful depth map. We can go ahead and close the color grading tool, click the X. Now what I want to do is bring up the saturation of the weaker colors, and I'll use a Vibrance mask to do that. So come up to the multi-mask panel, click this button, and we have saturation masks, we have Vibrance masks. I want a Vibrance mask, and I usually use Vibrance 4, but you could start by clicking 1, 2, 3. See how the range narrows as you go? Here's Vibrance 4, and this is usually the one I like, and I'll use it. I'll output this to a hue saturation adjustment layer by clicking this button, and I just want to increase the saturation in those weaker colors. See, when I move this to the right, it's only targeting the weaker colors, and I want to take this over to right there, 37. That's what I like, but if you like less, do it less. If you like more, do it more. Let's see it before and after. I'll shut this layer off. Here's before and here's after. Yeah, I like that nice little saturation boost in the weaker colors. Now it's time to really study this image, and I'm looking down in this area. See these rocks over here in this area down in here? I just want to darken these areas up just to keep the viewer looking into the scene. And if we have this too light, they will be drawn to this area, and we don't want that. At least I don't. Hold the presses. Before we do that, you know what? I'm not liking the color grading I have in here, so I'm going to change that. Let's go back to the color grading layer, click on it. Click on your color grading tool, click on the midtone button, and then just right click on this puck and we'll remove the color grade. I think that looks better. You know what? This is a somber scene. I don't want to make it too cheery here. So I'm going to leave it like this. Now let me shut off the hue saturation adjustment layer. Here's before, here's after. It brings up a nice amount of saturation in the weaker colors, but I think this looks better. I'll change my notes just to reflect the change I made here in the video. And now back to the darkening project. So we're going to come up and click the X on the color grading tool just to get rid of it. I'm going to use a zone mask. I'll click this button right here, and I want to click in this area right here. That'll really sample out those tones pretty well. Click OK. That's on the color picker. You click OK, by the way. We can tighten this up a little bit. Click and drag this handle to the left over to right about here. See how that really tightens it up? Now we need to output it. We're going to output it to a burning tool. You can use the left or the right side of the burning tool. I'm just going to click on the right side for now. And now with a nice soft edge brush at 20% opacity, so you can build up the effect slowly. Right now I am at 20% opacity, which is good. If you're not, type your 2 key. That'll get you to 20% opacity, and then you can adjust your brush size. I'm going to start down in here and just paint on these areas like this over to here. And then I'm going to paint on the rocks like this. I'm going to take my time and get this just right. But every time you lift your brush and paint again, you will increase that effect. So I'll finish this off and I'll get right back to you. I'm back, and what you're seeing is before the darkening. Let me turn this layer on, and here is after. I really like it. It might be a little bit too strong, so I'll take the layer opacity and just back it off a little bit. Not too much, but maybe somewhere right about here. I'm looking at the boat, and this area is just a little too light for me. I'd like to darken that up just a little bit, just to take some of the emphasis off of it. And it's time for another zone mask. Come up to the multi-mask panel, click the zone mask button, and just sample one of the light tones in here, like maybe right about here, and click OK. I think I'll tweak that a little bit. Click on this handle. I'm just going to drag it to the right a little bit. Yeah, I think that looks good right about here. Now I want to really tighten this up, and we'll take this handle and drag it into the left over to like right here. See how it really isolates that area? That is perfect. And now we'll output it to a burn tool. You can use the left or right side. This time I'll use the left side. This gives us a 50% gray layer in the soft light blend mode. We're painting through a selection just like we did before when we worked on the rocky area down in here. And now with a nice soft edge brush, make it nice and, make it around the size you would like it. And I think right around here is good. 20% opacity. I'm just going to paint on here. I'll paint over this whole area one time, and I think I'm going to give it one more pass. I've lifted my brush, or you unclick your mouse and you paint again, and I think that's good. Let me shut this off. Here is before, and here is after. I really like that. It just tones it down a bit. Let me shut this off again. Here's before and after. That's nice. Now let's move on. Now I'm looking at these rocks again here, especially like right here. It's still a little too light. I know I darkened these before, but I want to hit this rock, and a little bit over in here. And these rocks over here are really drawing my eye, and I want to tone those down too. So we're going to use another zone mask. On the multi-mask panel, click the zone button, and let's sample a light tone in here, like right here. Give that a click, and then click OK on the color picker tool. Let me see if I can adjust that a little bit. Move it to the right, move it to the left, and I'm going to take it over to right there, 148. It gets me more of the area I want to darken down. And now let's tighten it up. I'll take this handle, we'll move it to the left, and I'll take it over to right about here. See how it's really isolating these rocks and these guys over here. Perfect. And now let's output it to a burn tool. You can use either side. I'll use the right side this time. There are times that it matters whether you use the right or the left side, and I've explained that in different videos, so I'm not going to go into that right now. When you click on the right side, you get a blank pixel layer in the soft light blend mode. The left side, you get a gray pixel layer in the soft light blend mode. And now let's go ahead and darken these rocks right in here. Remember, every time you lift your brush and paint again, you will increase the strength of the effect. In other words, it gets darker. I'm going to get this rock over in here. Maybe these guys right here. Maybe hit this a couple times and then come over to the left, because these rocks are really bugging me. I'm just going to tone them down just a little wee bit, just to keep our eye from going over there. And I think that's pretty good. Let me shut off this layer. Here is before and here's after. I like that much better. Okay, I'm looking at this boat. You see these red streaks in here. I'd like to darken them up and bring some more saturation out in them. I think that'll add some nice texture into this boat and give it more interest. Here's what we'll do. We'll do some paint with color. So come up to the multi-mask panel, click this button to get a color mask. We want to sample a color in here, like right here. Click that, click OK in the color picker. And what we want to do is refine this. So what I'll do first is lighten this up. We'll take this handle, I'll drag it to the right over to like right about here. See how that lightens everything up? Now let's refine even further. You see this color bar up here? We want to pull yellow out of that red tone. So take this handle and drag it into the left. See how that really starts to tighten that up? Maybe right about here should be good. And then we have this tighten slider. Let's start to drag it into the left over to somewhere right about here. Maybe lighten this up just a little wee bit more. See how we're isolating all those red streaks in there? And now we need to output that. Click on this Paint with Color button, and we're greeted with this color picker. And now we're going to sample this color right here. And I want to increase saturation and darken. So I'm going to come like right about here and click OK. And now note we have a selection. We're painting with color. We have a linear light blend mode. And this is one of those special blend modes that utilizes fill. And now with a nice soft edge brush at 100% opacity, start painting over those streaks. You don't have to worry if you go outside of the area because we're only targeting red. And you could paint over this several times. Lift your brush, it'll get a little bit stronger. And if you want it even stronger yet, remember this is one of the special blend modes that works with fill. You can take the fill and increase the fill. Watch how those streaks get darker. You see that? I'll just back it off a bit. And I think to right there, 17% should be good. Let me shut it off. Here's before, here's after. But see how it adds some nice visual interest to the boat. The next thing I want to do is use a gradient to close off the bottom of this image. And right now I have a selection, which is not good because it'll mess up my gradient. So we need to deselect it. So on the Converse CX panel, click this button right here to deselect. And now hold down your Shift key and click on this multiply button. We're going to get a curves adjustment layer with no adjustment in the multiply darkening blend mode with a black mask. And now click on your gradient tool and come up here to the menu and click the drop down, open up your TK gradients. But what you want is a white to black gradient. So click on that, Make sure you have the linear gradient clicked on. And then what you do is you just click like right here and drag a gradient up on a slight angle somewhere right about here, I think should be good. And if we don't want to see this line right here, we can click on the curves icon, and the opacity is too strong, so take it the whole way off and then just build it up slowly and stop where you think it looks the best. And I think it looks the best right here at 57%. Now let me shut this off. Here's before, here's after. See what that does? It just closes off the bottom of the image and keeps us into this frame. What I want to do next is lighten up the midtones in the foreground, but stay out of the foggy areas back here. And we can use the depth map to help us. And this is easy to do. All we have to do, come to the multi-mask panel, click on the My Channels button, click on Subject Foreground, click on the Mask Calculator. We want to do an intersection, so click the X, click the Luminosity Mask button. Now we want midtones, so click on Midtones 1, click Equal to make your calculation. And there you can see we've selected Midtones 1, and it's intersected with the depth map to keep us out of the foggy areas back here. And then I'll put that to a curves adjustment layer by clicking this button right here. And then all you need to do is click this button to put it into the screen lightening blend mode. And just like that, we've lightened up our midtones in the foreground. Let me shut this off. Here's before, here's after. All right, now I think this image needs a vignette, but I don't want a vignette up here in the sky area where the fog is. So here's what we can do. We can utilize the depth map again. On the combo or CX panel, click a TK button if your TK actions aren't open, and then click on vignette. A Gaussian blur dialog comes up. Just click OK. I always just click OK. The default setting for the vignette is 30% opacity. I'll shut this off. Here's before and here's after, but you see how it's getting up into the sky. Well, we can remedy that. On the combo or CX panel, click on the layer mask calculator. This time, click on background and click minus to take out the background. And now I'll shut this off. Here's before and here's after. See, the vignette is only around this area right here. If we look at our mask by clicking this button, you can see where the vignette is sitting. See, it's staying out up here. There's a little bit right in here, but it's really nice. And I love the way that's working. So click this button again to see the image. Again, I'll shut off the vignette. Here's before and here's after. Another great use of a depth map. And now we come to the final step. I just want to increase the overall exposure on the image, but stay tuned. After that, I'm going to do a real quick black and white conversion showing you the TK Grayscale plugin. Okay, so here goes the exposure adjustment. On the multi-mask panel, click this button right here for an exposure adjustment layer. I want to target only midtones. So here's what we do. Come up to the multi-mask panel, click the Edit Blend Diff button. I want to target midtones 3, so we'll click this button right here. Click on this field to highlight it. Hold down your Shift key and click your up arrow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I went 5 times, but you know what? I may only go like, let's go 4 so you can see it. I've adjusted the exposure up 4/10 of a stop. You know what? I'm still studying the image, and this boat just looks a little too light to me, so I want to tone it down, and we can fix that very simply. Hold down your Shift key, click on the multiply button on the combo or CX panel to get a multiply brush, and now at 10% opacity, let's just paint over this area right in here. Maybe back here a little bit, just to tone it down, just like so. Let me shut this off. Here's before and here's after. The multiply and screen brushes are great when you just need to, tone something down or lighten something up. You don't need a mask all the time. And now let's see an overall before and after. So what we'll do is on the combo or CX panel, click this button. We started out here and now we end up here. And I'm really happy with the way this edit turned out. I wanted to keep the mood of this image, the fog, and that depth map was really crucial in getting this edit done. And I do hope you give this edit a try. But now let's move on and do a quick black and white conversion with the new TK Grayscale. Now here it is right here. You could click the plus and you get a black and white conversion. But we have these different channels we can use. Let's click on red. I always like to try these out. By the way, there's also a randomize button if you just want to see different looks because you may not be sure which way you want to take it. We have an intensity slider that you can pull up and then click the randomize again or click any of the color channels. It'll be a more intense adjustment. I'll leave it back for now. Let me click on red. I always like to start out with the channels, the color channels. Here's red, green, blue, cyan, magenta, and yellow. And I think I like magenta the best, so I'll click the magenta button. And then we could come up here. This is a black and white adjustment layer, and then we can play around with the different colors. In other words, any reds in the image will get darker if I move it to the left or lighter to the right. I'm going to move it to the right just a little bit because we have this red boat back here in the fog, and I don't want to darken it up. I want to keep it foggy. So maybe right around there. Let's try yellow. So we want to move it right. We want to move it left. I think I'm going to move it left just to enrich those yellows a little bit. And now let's try greens. Not much happening here. Let's try cyans. Not much there. Let's try blues. Not much blue in here. And let's try magenta. Okay, so right about there. Let me shut this off. Here's before and here's after, but that's a pretty cool black and white conversion. You know, we could take it further and do more to it. But here's another thing we can do. We can give it a tint. So let's click this button right here. And now what we can do is, right now we're at sepia tone, but we can drag this hue slider and get any kind of a tint we want, maybe more of a selenium tone. And then you could pull back on the saturation, but let's go back to around a sepia, like right about here. I want this to have that old-timey look, you know, like back in the 30s, 40s, or 50s, somewhere in there, like an old photograph. But I only want to target the dark tones. So right now I still have edit blend diff up here. So I'm going to click on darks 1. See how that's only going to the darks. Now that's too much saturation, I think. So I'm going to pull this back to maybe around here. See how it gets that real nice old-timey look. Maybe I'll bring it up a little bit. Now let me shut off the tint. Here's before and here's after. Pretty cool, right? So I'll shut off the black and white conversion. This is before and this is after, but there you go. Now don't forget, everything over at the TK web store is on sale, 25% off. Use my promo code DK15, which will give you 25% off, and you're supporting my channel, so thank you when you do that. TK Grayscale and the Magic Mixer are bundled together for $12. If you already own Magic Mixer, you get TK Grayscale for free. Well, there it is, everyone. Another TK Friday comes to a close. I hope you enjoyed today's full edit tutorial. If you enjoyed today's tutorial, please give it a like and share it with your friends. And if you're not yet a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe. Click the bell notification icon. Click all so that you receive all notifications. And then every time I upload a new tutorial, you'll get notified about it. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today in the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. And I will see you all right here next time. But until then, happy editing.